Good morning, evening, or afternoon, everybody. It's Kaghoe coming at you with another video. So today we have our weekly numbers report in, and we're able to go ahead and check all of these awesome numbers. We have some pretty cool stuff to see. Anniversary has bounded back, and the others have stayed steady or even grown, which is freaking cool to see that everyone's out here playing WoW, having a good time. A small disclaimer is that these are just rating numbers, and it's very important for people to understand that. So the two things are, if you're not doing the current raid and it is not logged, you do not show up as a number on this graph, regardless of if you are actively playing the game, as well as people can have alts. So people like me, for example, I count for 2 on the Season of Discovery list because I raid Tuesday and Wednesday on my Druid and Mage. So that is something to keep in mind and be aware of when we look at all of these numbers. But without further ado, let's switch it over and dive right in. So here is the Cataclysm chart. This is Classic 2019 all the way up to Cataclysm. As you can see, it is broken into very nice spots with these dips. This is Classic Vanilla 2019. This is TBC, Wrath of the Lich King, and Cataclysm over here. So it starts right here at 2019. It peaked at about 500,000 players, which is really cool to see. Probably averaged about 300,000 players throughout the entire expansion. BW on AQ did great, but once you got to Naxxramas, there was a massive fall off, as well as MC starting up was a bit tough too. Then we come over to TBC, which probably had the most consistent rating block that we have seen throughout the entire Classic project. It peaked at only 404,000 players, but it did hold about 350,000 the entire way through the expansion, which is really cool to see a nice, consistent, dedicated player base. Then we have Wrath of the Lich King, which is Blizzard's most popular expansion. It peaked at 626,000 players, probably averaged around 500,000 players for most of the expansion. And then when we get down to ICC drug out really, really long, lasted like 20 to 30 weeks or something crazy like that. And that really brought the population all the way down to 50K right before Cata launch. Cata launched very strong, peaking at 317,000, but pretty much straight up since then it has been nothing but downhill from there. It hit a all-time low at 50,000 yet again right before Firelands came out. Then it launched into Firelands, and Firelands has pretty much held about 120,000 raiders every week, which is really cool to see. Between last week and this week, it dropped about 2,000 people, which isn't too crazy, but it has 122,806. So, and this is February 25th to March 3rd. So this is always like a week-ish behind current while they get the current numbers in. So still really cool. Love to see Cata being healthy. I personally don't play Cata, but I know quite a few people who do, and they're out there enjoying it, raiding. It's always good to see a nice healthy community be able to continue going with a game. And keep that 122,000 number in your heads, because I want to show you something at the end. Next, we have Season of Discovery. Season of Discovery is also broken into some nice phases. Here is Phase 1. This is Phase 2. Here is Phase 3. Then we have the end game, which is 4, 5, and 6, and now 7. Pretty much you can see a nice steady end game rating numbers between this roller coaster of Phase 1, 2, and 3. So Phase 1 kicked off and did absolutely phenomenal, peaking at almost 500,000 people. An important thing to note is it was only a cap at level 25, so people could very easily have made a new character and did the raid on that day. So very important to realize that and know that's what could have happened. I, for example, count as 8 on this chart a few times because I was in a sweaty guild and had every class up. Would not recommend doing 8 PFDs in a row. It's not very exciting. But yeah, I was someone like that doing all of those. But anyway, we would go into Phase 2 with Nomergon. 25 to 40 was a lot more of a challenge, and that's where you see this initial fall off, because doing that leveling was quite grueling. You went to the monastery for pretty much all of them and just blasted monastery non-stop. And Phase 2 was actually the shortest phase that they had, of only 8 weeks. And just when it was getting up to the point where everyone was playing and it was peaking, they announced Sunken Temple, and then it just immediately goes downhill from there. We get to Sunken Temple, Phase 3. Phase 3 had a lot going for it, and it was not very good. Incursions were terrible. Cataclysm came out during Phase 3. Phase 3 was the longest of 14 weeks, and Sunken Temple bumped it up to 20 people, as well as the fights were actually hard, so it was not very pug-friendly, and it was just a disaster for the raiding population and total population. It went all the way down to 20,000 players, but Phase 4 came in and saved the day. We got up to 75K on the first week of MC, and it rose to 88,000, and has just kind of gone up and down between 75 and 80,000 for all of Phase 4. Then we get to Phase 5, which is BWL, where it stayed at about 88,000 the entire time. Then we get towards AQ. This was the launch week of AQ. It was not the best, to say the least, and it went to 58,000 and 63K. People just didn't do AQ very much at all. And AQ right here, this is where AQ peaked at about 70,000 right before Naxxramas launched, and we knew about it. And then this is the week before Nax launches, that we went down to 57K. Then we went to 67, 72, 77, and this most recent week was 77,625. So about a growth of 500 players, which is still growth. Not as big as we would like to see, but it is still growth. So that brings us to our next population, which is going to be the Classic Era population. Now, once again, this is actually growing, which is surprising, but Classic Era is when 2019 went to TBC. These just stayed on the in-game Nax server, and it's just really funny to me. Like, I don't understand this, but to each their own, and they have a nice core 10,000 raiders raiding every week. And what's really funny is, like, it's growing. Like, while it might go from like 10K here, it has gone from 10,000 all the way up to 11,000. And when you're averaging about 10K and you go up 1,500, like, that is a 15% increase. So very interesting that Classic Era is growing again. Obviously, it was at 22K, but when they launched Anniversary, that really brought those numbers down, and a lot of people went to Anniversary. It's still really cool to see people still doing this, still playing it. And enjoying it, to each their own. Obviously, I don't understand it, nor do I play it, but it is really cool to see people playing what they want, and it's actually growing. So 15% growth over the past couple weeks for this server is actually really impressive and something super cool to see. So let's head over to Anniversary. So Anniversary has bounced back. So last week, the biggest news was that it fell for the first time. Obviously not very large, like 3,000 it fell. However, it is now back up to 93,000. So, like, following that normal, like, 10 to 5K growth that it is seeing every week, it did that. And so if you look, like, if you don't count this 3K and you just go from 88K to 93K, that's that 5K growth that we are seeing with it every single week. And that is good. And as you can see, it is a nice, healthy balance of Alliance and Horde, too. It is close to equal. The Alliance is actually starting to edge out here a little bit more, but it is still looking pretty good and pretty equal, which is nice to see. I'm really curious to see if Anniversary is going to sort of stagnate around here now that we have the BWL announcement. The BWL is dropping on March 20th, so 11 days. So I'd expect next week's data to show Anniversary dip down pretty big, like 10 to 20K, just from the trends of what we see for every single one of these graphs, to see like people getting ready for the next raid. As I've highlighted, like, these were pre-patches. So, like, right here, this was the dip for Cata. It went from 85 to 50K right before Firelands. And then Season of Discovery right here, this was the last one before Naxxramas. It dipped from 70 to 57K and then back up. So I expect a dip next week for Anniversary, but it'll be that pre-patch rating dip for BWL. But Anniversary, once again, still holding between that 30 and 40% number. And what is super interesting, if you guys take the rating numbers from all of these, so we take the 93,000, we take the 11,000 here, we take the 77,000, and we add all of these rating populations up, it comes close to around this 200 to 300,000 mark that we have seen throughout all of 2019. So I'm really starting to believe that people are still playing Classic for the most part, and they're just spread out amongst all of these servers, is my theory that I want to dive more into and look at. The biggest one that is sort of the question mark is hardcore. I really do not have a way to quantify hardcore. Someone did ask me to go on the hardcore server and look at the layers there. We have 2 layers right here on Crusader Strike right now, but I will hop over to hardcore and take a look at that for you guys. So I'll see you then. Whoop. Alrighty guys, so we made a little level 1 character. Had to run pretty far. I was running to Orgrimmar to see this, but apparently according to Nova World Buffs, we have 7 layers active on the hardcore server, which is beating Anniversary. It is beating Season of Discovery. So just to give you a little estimation of where people are and what people are playing, hardcore is actually the #1 by layers by quite a lot. Anniversaries is around 2 to 3, same with Season of Discovery most of the time from what I've seen and logging in and checking. So really cool to see that. I was happy to log in, make a little level 1 hardcore character. Maybe, just maybe, we will try to do a little hardcore challenge coming up here for you guys, but that will be yet to decide. I will definitely make an announcement if we give it a whirl. But anyway guys, I truly hope you enjoyed this video. I wish I had a better way to see hardcore numbers, but this is really the only way that I can sort of do it. So anyway, I truly hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time, I'll see you later. Have a great day. Bye-bye. Hey you. Yes you. Are you still there? Well, I appreciate you for taking the time to watch this entire video and making it to the end here. If you enjoyed this video, definitely check out the other videos about World of Warcraft listed in these playlists down below. And thank you again. Have a great day. Bye-bye.